La délicieuse nourriture que vous allez voir est de haute qualité, servie dans des portions gargantuesques. Portions qui pourraient être dangereuses pour l'estomac du convive ordinaire. L'animateur est un professionnel hautement entraîné. N'essayez pas cela à la maison.
I took a walk through this beautiful world. Felt the cool rain on my shoulder. Found something good in this beautiful world. I felt the rain getting colder. Sha-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la,
It takes a special breed to live in a province like Quebec. It gets cold in winter, and winters are long. It takes a special kind of person for whom frozen rivers, icy, wind-whipped streets, deep, seemingly endless forests are the norm. I will confess my partisanship up front. I love Montreal. It is my favorite place in Canada. The people who live there are tough, crazy bastards, and I admire them for it. Toronto, Vancouver, I love you, but not like Montreal. Why? I shall explain. All will be revealed. In the meantime, check this guy out. What's the post office's motto? Neither rain nor sleet nor driving snow nor plague of locusts prevent the mail carrier from delivering my junk mail. Here in Montreal, the simple task of delivering the mail in winter comes with its own set of hurdles. Icy hurdles. I gotta ask, do you have special equipment for this?
We got like slip-on boots. We do have other boots when it rains, when it gets icy, with spikes on them. And they give us also slip-on spikes for when it's icy.
Any sort of city ordinance that you have to shovel? They're not penalized financially.
No, they're
or
not
ticketed.
penalized or anything. No, nothing like that.
Any injuries in the line of duty?
I've had several tumbles. One incident that I was off for 2 months, I thought I broke my ankle.
What is the most perilous aspect of the job? Would it be dogs or icy stairs?
In this area, there's a lot of dogs, but I would say the icy stairs.
It's one thing to have to work outside in this wintry mess, but it takes a strange and wonderful kind of mutant to actually find it pleasurable. Like, well, these two gentlemen.
Do you like the cold? I mean, by you, I mean the Quebecois.
It cleans the streets of Ebola.
The cold.
Yeah.
The frigid cold keeps the riffraff out of the city for sure.
Fred Morin and David McMillan, restaurateurs, chefs at the legendary Joe Beef, bon vivants, raconteurs, historians of their beloved Great White North, princes of hospitality. And what do men like this do for fun when the rivers turn to ice 3 feet thick, when testicles shrink, and most of us scurry for warmth and shelter? If they were like so many other Canadians, they would go ice fishing on the St. Lawrence River.
The cabin fever induces in the Quebecois family, because we are confined, perhaps, to spend so much time indoors. A lot of the families love to do, activities together like this. Go to the cottage, go ice fishing, it's like gets you out of the house, and it's very much a family thing.
Like many of their ilk, they'd seek one of the temporary small towns of sled-borne cabins, drill a hole in the ice, and wait. But these are not normal men.
So is Quebec better than the rest of Canada?
Obviously.
It's not that, yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
come on, you didn't have to think about that long.
No.
Now, wait a minute. Now, are strippers paid hourly here? Is that right? It's not a tip system?
It's
We
it's
discussed this
considered
before.
an art, a performance art.
It's considered a performance art. So how does that work? You don't tip your stripper?
You pay per song. You pay per song at
You
the
pay
strip
per
joint,
song.
Yeah. And then you can get a dance in the back, which is a private dance, and that's $10 a song, $5 a song in public.
That's why I go to prog rock strip bars, because the songs are super long. And I'm a bit cheap, you know? I go for the King Crimson lap dance.
After a suspiciously stunned-looking fish emerges from the deep, previously roof-and-alled by an eager producer, no doubt, it is ignored. Because Fred and Dave do things differently. No crudely fried fish and breadcrumbs for these large, living 19th century men.
Oh, whoa. Holy shit. Look at that.
Instead, a hearty lunch of French classics, accompanied by many fine wines and liqueurs, as befitting gentlemen of discerning tastes who've exhausted themselves in the wild. So this is how you live?
Well, more often than not, yes.
We always have to travel well and eat properly. We're drinking a natural white wine, Prieuré Rock. White Burgundy. These are Glacier Bay oysters, as well as there's a couple of Beausoleils thrown in there.
They're delicious. In my prized possession, those little
Fred's
Alsace.
wonderful Alsace glasses.
Yeah.
I
But
got
the funnest
that
part
name.
about the restaurant business, isn't it, the cutlery? Just the spoon is absolutely gorgeous. You know, Fred has a wonderful collection of tableware. Without getting, you know, snobby or elitist, you know, eating off vintage tableware is one of the great joys out of life.
Well, this is the interesting paradox of you guys. On one hand, you aspire to run a democratic establishment, open to all, and yet you are hopeless romantics when it comes to
Painful nostalgics.
the art of living, right?
Yeah.
What the? Sustenance is required. Holy, look at this. Like, say, a consommé of oxtail to begin, followed perhaps by a chilled lobster à la Parisienne.
The art of dining is kind of disappearing, much to our chagrin. I work super hard at being an excellent dining companion.
When seeking excellence in a dining companion, what qualities does one look for?
I turn my phone off. I never put my elbows on the table. I
Really?
don't. Of course. Come prepared with stories. Don't drink too much. Don't become sloppy.
Come prepared with anecdotes?
Absolutely.
No elbows on the table?
No, it's not proper.
I'm a total failure as a dining companion. What is that? What's that, you ask? An iconic Escoffier-era classic of gastronomy? Oh, look at that sauce. Holy crap. The devilishly difficult lièvre à la royale. A boneless, wild hare in a sauce of its own blood, a generous heaping of fresh black truffle, garnished with thick slabs of foie gras, seared directly on the top of the cabin's wood stove. Oh, damn. Look at that.
We're in a wooden shack, over 3 feet of ice, and 100
say?
feet of water.
You are hopeless, hopeless romantics, gentlemen. Oh, Jesus, look at that. Oh, the seared foie is perched atop an ethereal suspension of Joel Robuchon-inspired potato puree. Of course.
This is Cornas from Reynard Vineyard by Thierry Allemand.
Nice.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yes, yes, it is. Really, is there a billionaire or a despot anywhere on earth who at this precise moment is eating better than us?
No.
No. Look at that.
Époisse, Saint-Marcelin.
Cheese. There must be cheese. In this case, a voluptuously reeking époisse, who some less hardy outdoorsmen might call overripe, but not us. Oh, this is awesome. What do we got here?
A few Cubans.
Oh, wait a minute. You guys have a much more relaxed attitude towards the importation of Cuban cigars. Chartreuse, of course, and a dessert as rare as it gets, a dinosaur-era monster long believed extinct.
This is Gâteau Marjolaine.
Who does this?
No, it's one of those, like, painful, nostalgic things.
Right. Layers of almond and hazelnut meringue, chocolate buttercream. Oh my God, look at that. Mmm, damn, that's good. For these guys, this is normal. This is lunch.
Sundays, it's like Playhouse in my house. It's French Playhouse.
Yeah? What do you do?
They get dressed at their house.
No way. Tell me all about this.
He dresses kids too.
He's a dandy.
A Sunday dandy. Last time I did deux tartes, les pralines roses, and the Linzer torte. I made a crème caramel. I made salade d'orange au rhum,
Right.
vieux rhum. I made les pruneaux au vin rouge.
Right.
Yeah. With the crème fraîche. And then the huge cheese cart that was about like 15 kinds of cheese.
Right. And how many people are in your family at this meal?
Him and his wife and 2 young boys.
And how old are the kids?
2 and 4.
So you, your wife,
Yeah.
and a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old.
They don't make it to the end. Usually I have to like prematurely open the vis.
You don't like Pruneau?
You know, when I'm thinking this, and I'm thinking that well, that's really up, but I'm also thinking, you know, I got to do that. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And actually, my daughter would totally be into it.
Once every few decades, maybe every century, a nation will produce a hero. An Escoffier, a Muhammad Ali, a Dalai Lama, Joey Ramone. Someone who changes everything about their chosen field, who changes the whole landscape. Life after them is never the same. Martin Picard is such a man. A heretofore unencountered hybrid of rugged outdoorsman, veteran chef with many years of fine dining experience, renegade, innovator, he is one of the most influential chefs in North America. He is also a proud Quebecois, and perhaps he, more than anyone else, has defined for a new generation of Americans and Canadians what that means. He is an unlikely ambassador for his country and his province. But maybe not so unlikely. I mean, look at him, out for a day trapping beaver with local trapper Carl.
No?
So the bait is wood?
Yeah, they just heat the bark.
They eat the bark.
Yeah.
No, I understand. In pioneer days, beaver was the financial engine of Canada.
Yeah.
Empires were built on it. Every hat practically in the world was made of a beaver pelt.
That's why today it's the icon of Canada.
To a lesser extent, the tradition continues today. Carl continues to trap, usually called on by provincial officials to trap beaver and clear away dams and control what could become a destructively overpopulated situation.
Ah oui.
Hello, my little friend.
This is a young one, and those are the one we want to heat.
What would you compare the meat to? Is there anything like it?
That's the thing, you know, there's nothing like it. You know, when you heat beaver, you understand that it's beaver.
Martin, along with an encyclopedic knowledge of fine wines and an inexplicable attachment to the music of Celine Dion, is a big believer in honoring history and tradition. If you still trap beavers, you should, if at all possible, cook them and eat them, not just strip them of their pelts. And as incredible as it might seem, you can cook beaver really, really well. Beaver tail, on the other hand, is not actually beaver at all, rather a quick spoon bread type of thing that in our case goes somewhat awry during an inadvertent inferno.
With the sauce, it almost looks like chocolate. It's so rich looking, huh?
I love it when it's like that. Some people don't put too much blood, but I like when it's very thick.
Wow. It's absolutely delicious.
Yeah, it is. I wasn't joking, but...
Tastes like chicken. No, it doesn't taste like chicken at all.
This is your first time.
Yeah.
Oh. Wow, that's something. I think you almost eat everything. Huh?
Yeah, at this point, you know, animals, they see me and they're like, oh, no, not him. Yeah, not that guy.
There's a joke around here somewhere, but to tell you the truth, the stuff is just too good. It's like 10 below zero in this freaking town. And that generally does not spell good time for me. A good time for me is more like a palm tree, a beach, a swimming pool, where the only cold thing is my beer. But no, these hardy culinarians of the North like to frolic in the snow and ice. More accurately, they like to obey their genetic Quebecois imperative to risk dental and maxillofacial injury by skating around, slapping at a hard disc, trying to drive it in each other's general direction. I believe they call this sport hockey. This is not in my blood. Do you skate?
Yeah, we grew up on rinks like this.
Does everyone in Quebec, is it pretty much obligatory? Here's
what
your
else
stick
can you do?
kid.
There's no reason to live here if it's no hockey.
Hockey rinks pop up all over the city to accommodate Montrealers' desire to risk teeth, groin, and limb. And right behind Fred and Dave's restaurant, Joe Beef, a pickup game of chefs, cooks, and hospitality professionals is underway. Some of these guys have put a charitable ear a little long in a tooth to be out there swinging sticks at each other and skidding around in the ice. This is a normal behavior? People actually do this for fun?
Yeah, absolutely. This is an everyday Quebecois growing up playing hockey. Canadian national sport, man.
Right, and this young one is already being indoctrinated. Hello, young man.
You gonna play hockey? You're good at hockey? Are you gonna be a goalie or a player?
Wow.
Player.
Oh, man. Quick. Am I going to get like a mouthful of puck, by the way? It's being catered with Fred and Dave's usual restraint.
Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, come eat.
Hot cocoa in styrofoam cups? No. Try a titanic choucroute garnie à la Alsacienne, containing Flintstone-sized hunks of pork belly, poitrine, bacon, homemade boudin blanc, kielbasa, smoked chops, plus like veal and pork links. Oh, yeah. This is a truly heroic choucroute.
Oh, look at the beautiful work of linking these.
It's awesome. This dish is the single best argument for sharing a border with Germany. And of course, the finest wines known to humanity.
We got German wine, we got Sylvaner and pirate bottles.
Sweet. What am I drinking here?
Canadian Riesling. This is Norman Hardy Riesling from Prince Edward County, 5 hours from here. Amazing wine.
There's an allegory here somewhere. I'm reaching for it. Something about Fred and Dave's reckless abandon coupled with precision and technique. A hockey metaphor, perhaps. Ah, the hell with it. Ooh, look, sausages. Montreal to Quebec City by rail. 160 miles of wintry vistas whip past the windows, evocative for some of another time.
Here you go, Canadian caviar. Sturgeon, Acadian caviar.
I'm not sure about Dave McMillan, but in Fred Morin's perfect world, we would all travel by rail. It would still be the golden age of rail travel. So tell me about the Great Canadian Rail System.
It's purely emotional.
Really?
There's nothing rational about it.
Fred is what one might call conservatively an aficionado. How extreme is your railroad nerdism?
This is how bad it gets. Operating manual.
For this model of train?
Yeah, this model.
So you have other operating
This is how
manuals.
to
Books, printed ephemera, collectibles. Fred retains an enduring love for the great iron horses that still take passengers across the frozen land he calls home. But it's something more than just nostalgia. It's also an appreciation for a dying art.
I mean, it's like the old cruise ships, or you transport your comfort, you know?
In those halcyon days of cross-country rail, there were lavish dining cars, luxurious sleeping compartments, a bar car with liveried attendants.
We look at the menus of how people used to eat on trains. It's also inspiration of how we cook in the restaurant.
Casserole of sweetbreads and fresh peas with béarnaise sauce, roast leg of lamb, currant jelly.
Very nice pictures in the book, the Dining by Train book. And the guy holding the turkey and cutting the turkey, and you order a drink, it comes from a bottle made out of glass into a glass made out of glass.
Right.
Which is kind of cool in our day and age.
Comes back to service, doesn't it?
Well,
Oh, thank you. We are presented with a perfectly serviceable omelet. There may no longer be a smoking lounge with brass spittoons, but this does not mean a traveler has to suffer. So you always travel with a truffle shaver?
Well, during truffle season.
As a gentleman must. Hold on, wait a minute. I'm gonna get a in-action photograph here. Hold on, Canadian Rail. So all these people are gonna like be expecting. Wait a minute, where's my fist-sized black truffle? Can I have the truffle option, please? Oh, of course.
And what was the other?
Don't forget the foie. Quebec City, one of the oldest European settlements in North America. Samuel de Champlain, known as the father of New France, sailed up the St. Lawrence and founded the site in 1608. When the fighting started with you-know-who, Quebec City was the French stronghold, until the bitter end, when the French fell at the Plains of Abraham. The French may have lost that one, but some things French have stayed firm, unbowed, resiliently unchanged by trends or history. Le Continental is the kind of place about which I am unreservedly sentimental.
J'ai mangé ici quand j'étais plus jeune. When I was younger, I ate here with my grandparents and my parents, yes.
That's older restaurant in town, opened in 1956.
Classic, unironic, cuisine ancienne, meaning dishes you haven't seen since, like, forever. A hipster-free zone of French, continental, ocean liner classics, such as Caesar salad, tossed fresh, to order, tableside, and beef tartare, also prepared tableside, as one must. Shrimp cocktail, not a deconstructed shrimp cocktail, mind you, a shrimp cocktail, the way Jesus wants you to eat them, all served by a dedicated professional.
At culinary school, we were taught this. We're real customers as your final class. We'd have to do the field of fruits, tableside, all that, which inevitably would fly off the fork and land in somebody's soup. I was so bad at it, too. I'd start with the orange, run into trouble, and I'll be right back behind the screen. I'm like with my teeth, stripping the thing. At least once a day, one of the students would set themselves or the customers on fire. The sterno would like spill and they'd light it. There'd be this line from like the thing down across the floor, up their leg.
No, that shit doesn't happen here. Like I said, professionals.
This is gonna go like a big fireball.
Fireball, good.
The kind who know how to properly prepare these dishes.
Sweet.
I swear I had like a goosebump moment where...
Yeah.
For Dave, another classic. Filet de boeuf en boîte. A filet mignon, a sauce made of cognac, cream, and glace de viande.
That is nice. Look at that.
And for Fred, Scampi Newburg. When's the last time you saw the word Newburg on a menu?
Awesome. Absolutely awesome.
But for me, that most noble of dishes, Dover sole. This appears to be one of the few remaining servers alive who knows how to take that fish off the bone, sauce it, and properly serve it.
Thank you very much.
Bon appétit.
Merci. Man, I love this place. I'm so happy. It's very comforting. There's continuity in this world.
Across town, another thing entirely. The younger, wilder L'Affaire et Ketchup, which I am reliably informed means everything's cool in local idiom. At this point in my life, I just don't know anymore. Are these young cooks, these servers, these dedicated entrepreneurs, are they hipsters? Or am I just a cranky old who thinks anybody below the age of 30 is a hipster? I don't know, but I admire them.
So how much did it cost you when you opened?
Not much.
Look at this tiny electric 4-burner stove. At no point in my cooking career could I have worked with one of these without murdering everyone in the vicinity before hanging myself from the nearest beam.
How long did it take you to adapt to the
I would say like 3 months. At the beginning, I was lucky that I didn't have like a lot of customers because I was like, oh man, oh. I was freaking out.
And yet these kids today, look at them go, serving a wildly ambitious and quite substantial, ever-changing menu out of this Suzy homemaker oven. Tonight, there's razor clams with beurre noisette. Ooh, and a cream of haddock roe.
Very cool, thank you. I love razor clams.
And coquille Saint-Jacques. You'll notice that nobody in Quebec seems to skimp on the portions. A terrine of foie gras, head cheese with cassis mustard. Oh, and riz de veau truffé, that's truffled sweetbreads. And you got some goose hearts persillade for good measure.
There's a goose heart. It's excellent, goose heart.
Hearts in general.
Oh, also you got your morue salé with grilled tomato bread. That's salt cod for you Anglos. I'm all swollen up like the Michelin tire dude and ready to burst in a livery omnidirectional mist. Hotel motel time for me. How Canadian is Quebec? Are they truly one entity or two? This is a question that has been wrestled with for some time. Quebec is certainly part of Canada, but in many ways, both culturally, spiritually, and linguistically, it's very much another thing entirely. There's a lot of history, much of it contentious. Go back far enough, and you get a clearer picture of why. The French arrived on the shores of Quebec City in the early 16th century, but succumbed to the military might of Great Britain in the mid-18th. Thus began a gradual but steady persecution of all things French. The Quebecois have struggled mightily to hang on to their French heritage and language. The issue of seceding entirely, a notion that persists to some extent even today. Journalist Patrick Lagasse meets me for lunch at Bistro M sur Masson to help me understand a little bit of what many Quebecois feel is at stake.
So I was going to talk about the whole history of French, Quebecois identity, the separatist movement, all of this, but I have to get right to the pressing matter of the day, Pastagate.
Pastagate. What do you want to know about Pastagate?
For those not up on current Quebec politics, Pastagate refers to an incident where local authorities notified an Italian restaurant that they were in violation of French laws because they used the word pasta, which is Italian.
This is...
Okay, stop apologizing, okay?
Don't get me wrong, my last name is Bourdain. I lean French. Hard.
I am enormously sympathetic to the language laws.
You don't think it's preposterous?
I do not think it's preposterous. But here we have a situation.
It is stupid. I agree with you completely that this province 40 years ago was in some respect an English city. So we needed to have language laws for signage and stuff.
Now, signage, for instance, must by law be principally in French. French first in all things.
But every bureaucracy produces byproducts of stupidity, and that was it. And you know what? It will not stand.
The Anglo-Canadians treated French-speaking Quebecois like second-class crap for much of history, so I get it. I'd be pissed too. I'd want my own thing, and when I got it, I'd want to make sure there's no backsliding to the bad old days.
When the Parti Québécois, the first sovereignist party to be elected, was elected in 1976, it didn't come out of a vacuum. It came out from a couple of decades of awakening and struggle.
50 years from now, will people still speaking
French?
Predominantly French in Montreal?
Yes.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
French first is something most would agree with. How far and how rigorously you want to go with that? Well...
Do you think there was ever any possibility or real majority or a plurality of Quebecois who would have voted in separate nation status? Wow.
You know, in English, you guys say timing is everything.
Right.
And timing was never better than in the period 1990, 1991, 92, because in 95, this country came inches from being broken up. Yeah.
Do you think it'll ever happen in the history of the world?
I don't know, but I know one thing. Anybody who says separatism is dead in this country and this province is a fool.
No matter how you feel about Quebec as either separate from or as essential part of Greater Canada, any reasonable person loves this place.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Walensky's is famous for the sandwich, the
Walensky special, right.
And in what tradition does this fall?
It basically, Eastern Europe, it was a survival thing. It was because they were poor, and that's what they could make.
Wilensky's, an old-school corner institution around since 1932, serving up pressed beef bologna and salami sandwiches, or specials as they call them, along with egg creams and milkshakes.
So, the special, and an appropriate beverage, egg cream? Very happy.
Here's how it goes. There are rules. The special is always served with mustard. It is never cut in two. Don't ask why, just because. That's the way it's always been done. A little respect for tradition, please.
I'm happy now. You know, some things are beloved institutions for a reason. This is delicious, thank you.
The tradition of the cabane à sucre, or sugar shack, is as old as maple syrup here in Quebec, where 70% of the world's supply comes from. Deeply embedded in the maple syrup outdoor lumberjack lifestyle is the cabin in the woods, where maple sap is collected and boiled down to syrup. Over time, many of these cabins became informal eating houses, dining halls for workers and a few guests, where a lucky few could sit at communal tables and enjoy the bounty of the trees and forests around them. Martin Picard has taken this tradition to what is somehow both its logical conclusion and insane extreme, creating his own cabane à sucre, open only during maple season and serving food stemming directly from those humble yet hearty roots. It makes perfect sense in one way. I mean, 130 acres produce about 32,000 gallons of maple sap, which run through these tubes to here, where they're cooked down to about 800 gallons of syrup, which is more or less what they use per season here. Nothing leaves the property. And it makes sense while you're here to raise hogs and cattle on the property, and maybe keep a cabin or two around for any friends who get too loaded to sleep it off. But this? Is there really any reason for this?
What are you doing here? Why do you have to make life so hard? If money were your primary motivation, this doesn't seem like the fastest road to untold wealth.
My grandfather, had a sugar shack. Everybody had you can go back, 3 generations, they had a sugar shack. And I'm very proud of Quebec. I'm very proud of Canada,
You celebrate Canadian history. You celebrate Canadian traditions. You celebrate Canadian ingredients in a way that no one else has. Are you some kind of patriot? Is that what's going on here? Is it national
I think that's very
Quebecois
much it. He's
fervor?
very much a patriot. I say it all the time. This is one of the most important restaurants to me in North America, if not the world. It's an art installation if you actually pretty look at it.
The meal begins with a tower of maple desserts.
Good Lord.
Sponge maple toffee, maple donuts, beaver tails, maple cotton candy. But wait, there's more. Almond croissant, whippet biscuits, some nougat.
Ah, there we go. I think that's a first for me. I've never seen that done.
No?
Well, not with a hammer.
Let the madness begin. Next, a whole lobe of foie gras with baked beans on a pancake cooked in duck fat, of course, cottage cheese, and eggs cooked in maple syrup.
Wow, that's awesome.
There's a healthy salad, sautéed duck hearts, gizzards, and pig's ear, topped with a heaping pile of fried pork rinds.
Good Lord.
Oh, and a calf brain and maple bacon omelet. And these.
How is this made?
With love.
With love.
Panko-encrusted duck drumsticks with shrimp and salmon mousse and maple barbecue sauce.
Good Lord. Wow.
So this is a classic Québécois dish. It's called la tourtière, a meat pie.
Tourtière du Chac, a whole Laracam cheese foie gras, calf brain, sweetbreads, bacon, and arugula. But with Martin, that's not sufficient.
Usually there's no truffle, but I just...
Yes, black truffles.
More truffle.
Yeah, it's gonna be too much truffle.
My blood's getting thicker as I look at that.
And now the main course, a homegrown, smoked right out front, local ham, with pineapple and green beans amandine. And chicken. But with Martin, a chicken is never just chicken.
That stuff with cotechino, foie gras, and lobster. We pump lobster bisque in the chicken.
Into the chicken.
Yeah. Wait.
Good God. There is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Someone should be singing the national anthem now. I mean, really. This is...
And practically prehistoric old-school Canadian classic. Maple syrup is heated, then poured on snow, becoming a kind of taffy. But the preferred delivery mechanism does present some issues.
That, no. Take a big one, and you have to suck it. Don't swallow it, you know? Look, you have to go like that. Slowly, slowly, you know? Just that. Slowly, slowly. That's how it's good. That's it.
Can I do that in a manly way?
Yeah.
You just don't look down at it. You sort of look away in a distracted way. It's like, I'm not really talking to you.
The best way is to look up.
Finally, there's maple meringue cake and maple ice cream with chocolate shards.
Any suggestion how to attack this?
We did it once. I want the chef suggest things for the ice cream cone. Chef suggests that you eat the ice cream like that.
That's the thing. I think there's too much focusing on the food.
Yeah.
You know, like wow, this is very intellectual, and wow, and then blah blah. And I've done too much all those shit. You know, I don't want to do that. I don't want to play game anymore. No?
Because food is feces in waiting.
This is CNN.
If there's one thing you always need on a cold, snowy night, it's yet another hearty meal. I meet back up with Fred and Dave at Liverpool House, the sister restaurant to Joe Beef.
I think we always compensate a little bit with overabundance of food because of our insecurity of not being like good cooks.
No, you know what? It's a combination of low self-esteem and generosity that explains the amount of food, perhaps.
First course.
Jambon blanc.
Sauce-saumon.
Gravlax of char. Solomon Gundy.
Meats and eggs.
Look at that.
Tweet fumé Bellevue.
Unbelievable. Look at the aspic work.
This is smoked eel and potatoes inside. A brioche d'anguille fumé. Salmon pastrami.
And wait a minute, this is super classic.
Œuf en gelée.
And this, œuf en gelée, egg and aspic, soft-boiled or poached egg and clear gelatin set broth, classically garnished with white ham, tarragon leaves, black truffles.
Oh my God. I was pretty sure that I would live the rest of my life without ever seeing this again. Ah, delicious.
But tonight, after a full week of Franco-Canadian full-on assaults on our livers and our lights, Fred and Dave thought it would be both delicious and merciful to take advantage of the somewhat lighter and insanely delicious fare by their brilliant chef Omar, who's from Pakistan. Amazing, authentic Pakistani food.
So what do we have here?
Butter chicken crab, octopus tikka, little eggplants braised with anar seeds, pomegranate, little mushrooms, rabbit korma, fingerlings with a fenugreek and fennel. This is donkey nahari.
Yes, he did say donkey meat. Is there something wrong with that? The dishes continue. A Pakistani gumbo with okra and coriander, a sesame seed and green pepper curry, hanger steak palak paneer, all beef scotched egg, a puri with horse meat tartare, and an authentic goat biryani.
Wow. Biryani's awesome.
Are you full?
Yeah, it's food for 12.
We did good work here. In the end, and perhaps as a nod to the Anglo tradition, however, there will be Stilton. This is a genius meal. These princes of gastronomy, never a suboptimal moment. Nothing short of excellent accepted. Beyond excellent. Too much excellent. Yes, possibly. Over the top? Yeah, definitely. It all comes around in the end, the circle of life. We begin at the beginning, the heart and soul of every right-thinking Quebecois, apparently. Ice, a stick, and a puck. Fred and Dave and Martin Picard are joined by the original god of Montreal gastronomy, the great chef Normand Laprise, to watch their beloved Montreal Canadiens lay waste to the Carolina Hurricanes. All the while eating, of course, and drinking, as it turns out, the finest wines known to humanity.
And here we go.
I've always wanted to get as far away as possible from the place that I was born. Far both geographically and spiritually. To leave it behind.
I took a walk through this beautiful world. Felt the cool rain on my shoulder. Found something good in this beautiful world. I felt the rain getting colder. Sha-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la-la.
Tangier, it's Morocco. But from 1923 through 1956, it was loosely governed by the major powers, an international zone. For years, it seemed, everything was permitted. Nothing was forbidden. At the northern tip of Africa, a short ferry hop from Spain, Tangier was a magnet for writers, remittance men, spies, and artists. If you were a bad boy of your time, you liked drugs, the kind of sex that was frowned upon at home, and an affordable lifestyle set against an exotic background, Tangier was for you. Matisse, Genet, William Burroughs. Many have come this way, staying a while or hanging around. But no one stayed longer or became more associated with Tangier than the novelist and composer Paul Bowles. In works like The Sheltering Sky, he created a romantic vision of Tangier that persists even today, a dream that has become almost inseparable in the minds of many from reality. I'm here to find that dream city, the place Burroughs referred to as Interzone. Tangier, like I said, was a city of expats. People with pasts, people who simply didn't like where they were and craved somewhere and something else. The Gran Soko is the gateway to the Medina, where you could find the Kasbah, which means fortress, by the way. The port of Tangier is to the east, and right in the middle of it all, the Petit Soko, what Uncle Bill Burroughs called the last stop, the meeting place, the switchboard of Tangier. Reasons for settling in Tangier diverge, but everyone, sooner or later, since the beginning of memory, comes to Café Tingis. Jonathan Dawson came to this city over 20 years ago as a journalist, and he never left. He lives a life not too distant from Burroughs' fantasy. Cake and tea at 4 every day, served by his manservant. He may not have a gazelle, but a pet rooster will do. And every day he makes the rounds of the cafes, seeing all the old faces, ending up sooner or later here.
So this is the Petit Soko?
This is the Petit Soko, yeah. This Soko existed in Phoenician times, existed in Roman times, it existed in the Portuguese times. The English were here for 22 years. Then the international city until 1956, and now it's completely Moroccan. But this is a very historic square, very historic.
As a writer, I've noticed everybody who comes here to do an article does the same article.
Well, it's so damn boring. They all do pole bowls of the Beat Generation. And there are lots of other stories in Morocco apart from that. But everyone likes the beats, Bill Burroughs and all that stuff, and Tennessee Williams, and they were all here.
Yeah.
But that's a small part of Moroccan history. That's a 15-year period. There's a life before that and a life after that. You're here.
Yeah, it was inevitable. Let's pretend that those guys never came. What is this place?
Well, the reality is, if you can read a Paul Bol story and you can live it, and the people do come here and try and live it, but they don't stay very long.
Right.
They smoke a bit of dope and they live in a cheap hotel and they go home with bed bugs.
Right.
That's
and
another
a great
life.
story.
And a great story.
But I mean, the attitude here is different than other parts of Morocco. I think they have a higher tolerance and tradition of bad or outrageous behavior.
They have a higher tolerance of mad people, you know. But the Moroccans essentially are very tolerant people. They quite like madness as well. They kind of celebrate that a bit, you know.
How Moroccan is Tangier?
It's a Moroccan city with a European outlook. You know, you can stand up on the boulevard, you can see Spain and Gibraltar. So you see all sorts of people passing through, but it's a very Moroccan city. I'm 62 years old. I didn't know it in the international days, which finished in 1956. But at that time, I think Europeans may have outnumbered Moroccans in the center of this city. It's not the case now. There are very few Europeans actually living here full time.
The notion of living a life apart, of being somewhere else, there are those who like that feeling. I like that feeling. And then there are those who they may live apart, they may live somewhere else, but they're not entirely comfortable. It's the difference annoys them or is a burden.
It is, and it frustrates them. Some people have to leave home to find their home. I'm one of those people, whereas I didn't feel at home in the country I was born in at all. But here, I feel okay. I feel very, very happy here.
There is indeed something special about this place. Burroughs described the native quarter of Tangier as a maze of sunless, twisting streets filled with blind alleys. Its smell was particularly notable to him, including a mix of hashish, seared meat, and sewage. Tangier, before anything else, is essentially a port city, with all the things that traditionally come with port cities. It's situated at the choke point between the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. The Moroccan coast is a rich fishing ground, and a lot of people make their living from the sea. On shore, they use a method called sen-haul fishing, where weighted nets basically drag fish across the bottom of the sea. Some of that fish, the good stuff anyway, ends up here. Le saveur de poisson, or Restaurant Populaire, or Popeyes. The place has got a lot of names, but locals and expats alike who've been coming here for years say it's got some of the best tagine in town. Mohammed Belhaj, the owner and head chef, is from the nearby Rif Mountains. And he sources a lot of his stuff, his produce and his greens from there. And he's real proud of them. The back room of the place is dedicated to sorting and drying various herbs, which he blends into a secret mix he claims has all sorts of healthful and boner-inspiring benefits. Look, if every dish I've been told over the years was gonna make me strong worked, I'd have a permanent pup tent going on down there. So I take all that with a grain of salt.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Belhaj's son, Hassan, delivers the food.
It's olive.
It all starts with fresh olives. They're in season now, and roasted walnuts. Some warm, very good bread. Squishy.
Juice.
Oh yeah, and you get this stuff. Everybody gets it. A pulpy puree of figs, raisins, strawberries.
Drink.
And full of Mohammed's potent herbs and spices, of course.
All the night, 24 o'clock.
Yeah, I get it. It's supposed to make me more manly. You know what? I'm eating. Let's not talk about that, okay, sunshine?
I got a lot.
What is a tagine, anyway? It's a traditional Moroccan stew that can include vegetables, meat, or fish. Tonight, baby shark, calamari, and monkfish with fresh mountain spinach. Slowly cooked over charcoal in the classic clay pot that gives it its name, the tagine's dome top is supposed to force the condensation back into the dish and keep it moist and tender.
That's delicious. I think it's like these greens and aromatics and herbs. I have no idea what they are. I've never had anything like that. Tangier version of farm to table.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
Good.
Wow, what's that?
Stervos grilled à charcoal.
Thank you.
Charcoal.
And a whole turbo, brushed with olive oil, salt and pepper, and some coriander, then grilled perfectly over the coals. Cuddled up next to the fish, tiny shark kebabs. Cute.
Oh, wow. Spectacular. Good value. All of this for 20 bucks. I think we did a pretty good job on Mr. Fish. That'll teach you. Freaking yummy. It's like that guy when, you're tripping and it goes like this to you.
Hi.
For dessert, strawberries, pine nuts, and honey. Like the whole meal, it's eccentric and delicious.
Thank you. You're welcome.
I haven't had so much fruits and nuts since Altamont. I told Mick, I said, Mick, this is a bad crowd. Get back in the chopper. But he's like, oh, no, man, we can't disappoint the fans. Memories.
In Tangier, I lived in one room in the native quarter. I had not taken a bath in a year, nor changed my clothes, or removed them, except to stick a needle every hour in the fibrous gray wooden flesh of terminal addiction. I never cleaned or dusted the room. Empty ampule boxes and garbage piled up to the ceiling. Light and water long since turned off for non-payment. I did absolutely nothing. I could look at the end of my shoe for 8 hours. I was only roused to action when the hourglass of junk ran out. The words of William Seward Burroughs, one of my heroes. He came to Tangier in 1953, shortly after shooting his wife to death in a drunken accident in Mexico City. He was a heroin addict, a homosexual, and an inspiration to those proto-hipsters who came to be known as the Beats. Burroughs, however, was not a hipster. There was nothing beatnik about him. He was a somewhat stuffy, well-dressed St. Louis son of a good family, gone wrong. He was also, to my mind, the greatest writer of the whole damn bunch. On the road, you can have it. His classic Naked Lunch was written here. A nonlinear, dark, dry-humored, searingly critical, satirical, and profane masterpiece. Burroughs was apparently high for much of the process, on heroin or a locally available prescription opiate called Eucadol. And of course, the daily staple of many in these parts, hashish, keef, and majoun. Hashish is the concentrated THC-rich resin of the cannabis plant, as well as varying amounts of its flowers and leaves that have been separated from the buds and compressed into sheet or brick-like form. Keef, a more local and indigenous product, is the part of the plant containing only the strongest concentration of psychoactive ingredients. Majoun is a confection made from keef, fruits, nuts, chocolate, and honey. I was, of course, fascinated by this product since reading about it and inquired of some local contacts, who shall necessarily go unnamed. How was it made? This was what I wanted to know. They were kind enough to demonstrate. Keef is first chopped into fine granules and then slowly added to melted butter and chocolate over a low heat to toast it and release the psychotropic goodies within. While the binder element of the majoun is slow cooking in the pan, a combination of spices are blended with cashews, almonds, walnuts, and dried fruit. This will be the framework to suspend the THC-laden goodness in the next step. The cannabis-laced butter chocolate is added, along with plenty of honey, to bind together all the ingredients. Then, mix. Last, you roll the entirety of the mixture into a ball and either refrigerate or dig right in. Of course, network standards and practices prohibit me from even tasting this delicious and reportedly mind-altering treat. I'm guessing anyway. So until I see Christian and Wolf doing bong rips in the Situation Room, I will of course abide by these rules. Because that's the kind of guy I am. There is one particular cafe in the heart of the Casbah that has drawn in foreign dignitaries, rock stars, aristocrats, and artists since it opened its doors in 1943. Cafe Baba. Sweet mint tea in a thick, slow-moving haze of smoke. It smells like my dorm room, 1972.
Good evening, hello.
Hi, I'm George.
This is George Bajalia and Zineb Benjaloun.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Welcome to Cafe Baba.
I should say right now, I have no direct knowledge or awareness of either George or Zineb smoking any illegal substances, nor do I have any contemporaneous recollection at this time of me doing anything untoward in their presence. Because that would be like, wrong, dude.
Some tea?
George is here on a Fulbright scholarship, and Zineb is an artist from Rabat. Others in the room, however, well, don't give me that innocent look, you young punks. I know somebody in here smoking reefer.
So, how stoned are people here?
We can ask. Just ask.
You're not getting totally ripped here.
No. It's a functional part of daily life. For a long time, the rest of the country and the government didn't really like Tangier a whole lot because it was seedy. There were these foreigners who came here and did.
The new king is
he likes Tangier.
He likes.
Yeah, it makes money.
He sees it as a future economic superpower, as I understand it. He's talking condos, boutique hotels. Is that good or bad?
For Moroccans, it's work,
right.
But of course, expats want to keep Tangier like they know it before.
I mean, this cafe is very similar to the way it was, but there's a TV right there.
Flat screen.
And that's why a lot of people come here. They come to watch soccer games.
You can well imagine the American guy who's lived in Tangier for 30 years, okay? He comes in and there's a flat screen TV on the wall. He's like, what the?
Yeah,
You've ruined the authenticity and integrity. But the Moroccan guy at the next table, he's saying, wait a minute, asshole, you have a flat screen TV at home. I want one too. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, there are people here who've probably never heard of Paul Bowles.
Right.
If you only follow that, there's no progression, there's no progress, there's no change.
The thing about Cafe Baba is that just sitting here, taking in the atmosphere, you begin to appreciate the place.
It's something different is happening here.
Contact high. Whoa, I'm hungry. Wait until the Spanish tortilla dude across the street opens for business. This is Abdullah. He specializes in making one thing, and he makes it well. An omelet. Well, it's actually more like a Spanish tortilla, but like stonier. The potatoes are boiled, diced, then mixed with beaten eggs and cooked in a cast iron skillet. Oh yeah, the eggs, the Eggman. I am me and we are you, and where's my omelet, dude? Because I am hungry.
Assalamu alaikum, Asidi. 1, 2, 3.
Abdullah is just waiting for you, right when you come stumbling out of Cafe Baba. Coincidence or not? You be the judge.
Ketchup and mayonnaise, everything.
Ketchup and mayonnaise? Sure, why not? Condiment options I will be hard-pressed to turn down at this precise moment anyway.
A lot of mayonnaise. Just a munchie.
Dude, that's awesome. I'll have 12 more.
Paul Bowles lived in Tangier for over 50 years, and Sherry Nutting was part of his inner circle near the end of his life. She was his friend, record keeper of sorts, and photographer.
You arrived when?
I came in the 70s, but I went down to Marrakesh. And then in '86, I wrote a letter to Paul Bowles and said I had to meet him and take his picture. And he wrote back and he said, come and visit. Well, I never left.
Like a lot of people came here to live that dream or to live that life. Has the reality come to resemble his perception of the reality, or?
The Tangier that I see is Paul Bowles, and I still see it. I still feel it. You can still find the magic.
The market, or souk in Tangier, is one of the best in all Morocco. The food stalls and vendors are still pretty impressive. Wander the markets long enough and you're sure to stumble across the unexpected. Hooves? Sure. How about a lamb's head? Here, nothing goes to waste. Charbroiled to crispy burnt perfection, the meat is scraped off and served on a crusty lunch bread. Not so adventurous, the Grand Soko's indoor market offers a variety of smoked, cured, and fresh meat.
Smells good in here. The stuff looks good. Oh, I've heard this cheese is amazing.
It's good, yeah.
Could I have one?
A Berber favorite, fresh goat cheese wrapped in palm leaves.
Yeah, they're beautiful, aren't they?
That's good.
Shukran bizarre.
A little cheese, a little flatbread, the perfect Moroccan breakfast to go. We're headed into the Jabala foothills of the Rif mountain range, about 85 kilometers south of Tangier, to a place called Jajuka. The village is home to the people of the Al-Sharif tribe, which loosely translated means the saintly people. Jajuka is also home to one of Morocco's better-known musicians, Bachir Attar. Jazz and rock and roll musicians have traveled from all over the world to Jajuka to meet this guy. Bachir is part of a lineage of master musicians, all from this small mountain village. Famously dubbed as a 4,000-year-old rock band by William Burroughs, Bachir, his son, and these musicians maintain one of the oldest still-living musical traditions on Earth. We're invited for dinner. It's family style, of course, beginning with brewad, like a kefta pocket. Hand-formed envelopes of dough filled with seasoned beef, baked until golden, then crisped in oil.
Oh, we're good for now. Well, one more. Uh-oh, here we go.
The main event, tagine of chicken.
Yeah, welcome, Tony.
Thank you. Just gorgeous.
First, chopped onions, garlic, parsley, and turmeric are blended with olive oil. The bird is generously coated and stuffed. Then, after simmering in a touch of olive oil and water, the chicken is fried till crispy. Served with roasted almonds and olives, paprika, and ginger. Nice.
He smells the food.
Like anywhere else in the Arab world, eating with your hands, always the right one, is proper dining etiquette.
This is special spinach of Jejuka and hot apple.
It's like wild spinach that grows in the mountains.
Bokala is chopped mountain spinach, garlic, cilantro, hot and black peppers, finished with lemon and olive oil.
Oh, it's delicious.
Yes, I heard you are the greatest taste for food in the world, man.
I love good food.
No,
this is good.
Yeah.
After dinner, some fruit, some mint tea, and let the music begin. For centuries, the master musicians of Jejuka have been the musical choice of the royal families of Morocco. Excused by the country's rulers from manual labor to devote themselves to musical training. Powerful style of Sufi trance music has inspired many musical seekers, including most notably perhaps Paul Bowles, who wrote about them and recorded them and spread the word. Brian Jones was here and recorded the Pipes of Pan at Jejuka with these musicians. The word spread, and the master musicians have ended up being featured on albums by Maceo Parker, Ornette Coleman, and the Rolling Stones. For years, if you were a rock god, you had to come here. Dig the crazy percussion and strings and pipes that took you to another place. It's intricate, hypnotic, beautiful. And if you're in the right frame of mind, mesmerizing. Anyone who comes to Tangier inevitably ends up lost in the old part of the city. The Medina is just what you want it to be. The ancient world residing just next to and around the new one. You can walk around inside the movie in your head, play the bogey character you never were, all against an all too willing, all too genuine backdrop. Ordinarily, just about the last thing in the world I'd be interested in doing is antiquing. But buried in the network of twisting, narrow streets of the old city is Boutique Majid, owned and operated and personally curated by this man, Abdelmajid Rais Selfeni.
Hello. How are you?
And he is one interesting guy.
Thank you.
Coming in.
When he was a little kid back in the 60s, Majid left his hometown of Fez and came here, where he'd earn a few dirham a night emptying ashtrays at the wild and extravagant parties being thrown here by wealthy expats. He saw what these people would buy for themselves and how they decorate their homes, and he started to look around for himself, scoring, then reselling art and antiques.
Wow.
It became something of an obsession. Now his artifacts from Morocco and all across northern Africa are bought by collectors from all over the world, carpets, antiques, wood carvings, jewelry, and old doors.
Wow, these are incredibly beautiful. Tell me about that.
Amber, coral, shells. This used to be currency, this shell.
How old is this?
This is early 20s, late 19th. The amber is millions of years old.
How much are you selling this piece for?
By weight.
By weight?
Yes, quite a heavy piece, this one, 429 grams. So it comes like 42,000 dirhams.
So that's how much in dollars?
Like almost 5,000. 4,500.
About $5,000.
Almost.
So we look at another floor?
Oh, yes, follow me. Yeah, there's a nice collection of things from the Sahara.
So you travel a lot?
Not like you.
Oh, this is for pounding manioc?
Yes, this is from the Dogon tribe from Mali.
How much will this sell for, do you think?
Around $300.
Really? For this? That's very reasonable.
Yes.
I'll be buying that. That's going to be an old friend.
Also memory.
And a memory
Tangier.
of Tangier as well.
Majid suggests lunch at Andalus, a locals-only place nearby.
As a Moroccan, so many Westerners who come to Tangier come with a romantic notion of a Tangier they read about in books. Do people have a realistic expectation when they come here? Are they looking for Morocco, or are they looking for this phantasm?
No, it is a phantasm. It is when you get here, if you know Morocco, you feel that you're in Morocco, but you're not. There's a lot of Mediterranean touch to this town. And also the history, people hear story about Tangier that it was. Like when I first came in the 60s, everybody said to me, you came late. Tangier was.
It's right.
Now I'm saying the same thing as these young now. They come and they say, wow. I said,
what was better about those days?
Well, you see, for me at that time I was young, and it was the boom of hippies, and it was the destination. You know, Coffee Papa, you meet Bob Dylan, you go here, Cat Stevens, and the parties was going on. I missed this kind of parties. People fly from everywhere to the party, and they make the whole town move. Blue and white party, white and gold party, hat party. You know, it's amazing. And you see people coming with amazing hats, like a cage with a bird, extravagant hats. You know, it's like people put so much energy and time into these parties, you know. Look at the...
Oh, now that looks good.
Tomatoes brushed with local olive oil, garlic, and coriander. Liver kebabs, beef liver to be exact, grilled over charcoal.
Oh, now that looks very nice.
For fish, a bit of swordfish and some orange roughy.
That is just beautiful.
How do you like the tomato?
Oh, and the swordfish is amazing.
Yeah.
So how else have things changed?
You saw how many tourists there was today?
They're in a hurry.
If they come to the shop, they even try to avoid your eye contact. They're afraid if you get my eye contact, I'm gonna rip you off
Or make you buy something that they don't want to buy.
I don't know. They have this...
Do they buy?
They don't even say hello.
They don't buy?
Of course. We call them penguin. They have short hands, doesn't get to the pockets. I mean, I'm just kidding.
When Tangier was Interzone back in the day, it seemed to some, I'm sure, as if the expats outnumbered the locals. That was never true, but you certainly could live a life apart, make your own world within the existing one, reinvent yourself and live entirely within a universe of your own creation. Far from the Grand Soko is a 14-acre estate owned by Christopher Gibbs, a well-known dealer of antiques and longtime expat. Today, he's having a garden party. Who's coming? Jonathan, you know. Maggie Dean is from Scotland. she's been living here for more than a decade. G.P. de Richemont, a Frenchman who has his hands on a lot of businesses, including a cafe in the Casbah. Years living in Tangier? Unknown. Bianca Hamri, an American. She's been here forever, led many lives, I gather, and occasionally translates books from Mugrabi to English. And the dashing and mysterious Baron de Coquira Gondarillas, an artist from Chile who's been living and working in the Casbah since a hasty exit from Puerto Rico for reasons never fully explained. On the menu, Bastilla, a meat or often pigeon pie, as traditional Moroccan as it gets. Today made by Gibbs' full-time cooks, Jamila and Fatima. In Bastilla, the meat on this particular day is chicken, which is slow-cooked in broth and spices, pulled or shredded, and then folded into an egg mixture cooked in the reduced stock from the boil. This is layered with blanched almonds, powdered sugar, and cinnamon. And then the whole lot is then wrapped in feuille de brique, a crepe-like dough. After baking to a golden crispiness, the final touch is a dusting of even more cinnamon and sugar. It's got a sweet, savory thing going on. And it's quite tasty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you get nervous when you go in a room and you touch the light switch and the lights don't come on, you shouldn't be in this country.
What was that first moment you said, you know, I could live here?
I'm still quite unsure about that. No, I came here first in 1958, when it was quite different. Everyone wore native dress.
Yes.
But Islam, still the throbbing motor of life here. I have very tender feelings for Morocco and the friendliness and courtesy of the people and of the children who, you know, they don't say off granddad like they do in England. They say, bonjour monsieur, ça va bien, belle journée, blah, 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 blah.
I always feel welcome here. I never consider that this is mine. It's theirs, and they've allowed me to live here in a very nice way, and I feel recognition. They know who I am.
Right.
They know who I am.
There is a side-by-side aspect to life here that's very unusual.
Very unusual here. It's mostly, you can do whatever you want if you do it with good manners.
But it is a sort of a station of the cross for, you know, the bad boys of culture. I mean, Verlaine, Rimbaud, Iggy Pop, the Stones,
Burroughs and Geisen. And
Burroughs writes about, he came here to be a writer.
He was a junkie before he was a writer.
As so many of us were. But I think this was a place if you wanted to think of yourself as a writer, you would come here and somehow you were working within a romantic tradition.
Yes.
Burroughs said right up front,
yes.
To me, a writer from when I was a little boy, a writer was a guy who lounged around in a smoking jacket or a caftan, smoking a hash pipe or an opium pipe
yes.
in a beautifully anointed house littered with sleeping boys.
Yes,
or
girls.
Well, to what extent did that world exist, and to what extent was that world created by the people who showed up with that expectation?
Since Bill departed, R.I.P., dear, wonderful, marvelous man, since he's gone, it's a bit tame now. It's a bit
it is tame.
Well, he was
genteel now.
He was the very opposite of genteel. He was an outlaw for every society.
My husband knew him very well, and he was telling me, yes, Bill, and I said, he said, I cured him of being a drug addict. I said, how? He said, I turned him into an alcoholic.
But who smokes hashish at this table? Please raise your hand.
Is the camera on?
Blanca, put your hands up, Blanca.
It's my last night in Tangier, and I'm headed out.
Is that Blanca one?
Thank you, yes. Most cities of the Islamic world, getting a beer can be difficult. Not here. Long as you're outside the Medina, nearly anything goes. Tangier reverts to its libertine past. Here, Western influences become very apparent. Any night of the week is a good night for young Moroccans to take to the streets of the Ville Nouveau. Othman Nossairi is from a generation of Moroccans far removed from the romantic conceits of the Bowles Burroughs era. He's invited me out for a casual snack. Bocadillos, Spanish-style sandwiches with tuna, veggies, hard-cooked eggs, and a healthy wad of mayo. A crispy layer of French fries within the sandwich.
This is delicious, by the way. The bread here is very good. You work in a magazine, journalist.
Yeah, I'm not a journalist, but I own an urban magazine here in Tangier to inform Moroccans we are living in a place that's pretty special. It's not for any purpose that William Burroughs or Paul Bowles or Henri Matisse, all these people came to Tangier. The city has something which makes it different from other cities.
Well, what about young artists, young writers, young musicians? Did they come here expecting this romantic Paul Bowles wonderland of the 50s?
Some were, I'm going to say too bohemian.
Too bohemian?
Yeah, because they thought that, coming and being an artist
is going to be enough.
It's going to be enough. It's not. Today is not enough.
Right, yeah.
It's pretty tough for them, and most of them pack their bags.
Right.
Today we have so many investments going on here in Tangier. Thanks to our king, investors are here, being attracted, tourists are attracted. But the most important part of it is that we should keep the old parts of the city intact. The Kasbah, the Medina.
The Medina.
That's what's hard to do, because when you have a European purchasing power coming over here to Tangier.
They come, well, like we come. We embrace it, other people want to come, and then we f it all up. Will Tangier's unique character survive?
I hope so. I really hope so.
Tangier is Morocco, always was Morocco. And recently, the country's leadership seems to have embraced it in all its ill-reputed glory. The days of predatory poets in search of literary inspiration and young flesh are probably over for good. Hippies can just as easily get their bong rips at Portland or Peoria. But the good stuff, the real good stuff, the sounds and smells and the look of Tangier, what you see and hear when you lean out the window and take it all in, that's here to stay.